High anxiety in Washington and on Wall Street today. Forget the government shutdown. Today, it was about the looming debt crisis. Apocalyptic words coming from the US Treasury today, saying a default on the nation's debt could be, quote, catastrophic. A scenario the Treasury says would be worse than the financial crisis and Great Recession that we're still emerging from. That pushed the markets sharply lower at the open. By midday, there was slight relief after a New York Times report saying House Speaker John Boehner would not allow the U.S. to default. Boehner's spokesman then said the speaker has, quote, always maintained the U.S. will not default. That brought stocks back momentarily. But now, if that weren't all enough, mayhem outside the U.S. Capitol after police shot and killed a woman who tried to ram her car through security barricades at the White House and then exchanged gunfire with the police. All in all, it looked like it ended like this after the market closed. The Dow fell 136 points, closing just below the psychologically important 15,000 threshold. The Nasdaq lost 40, the S&P off 15 points.
Unless Congress settles the debt ceiling crisis within the next 2 weeks, the U.S. Treasury says it'll reach its borrowing limit on October 17th. So what then? Steve Liesman takes a look.
Good evening. Markets turn their attention today beyond the government shutdown to what happens if the debt ceiling is breached and the government can no longer borrow. Here's what we know. In that event, government spending has to equal revenue plus the cash on hand. What that likely means is government spending will fall by about a third, or a $108 billion decline in government spending in the first month. That means a contraction of the economy. The economy will be smaller because there'll be less government spending. What economists believe is probable in that event is a recession, as the lack of government spending plunges the economy from growth to contraction. The dollar could plunge, the stock market could plunge along with it, and interest rates are seen higher in that event. What they're worried about, what is possible here, is a global recession, as the knock-on effect of a weaker U.S. economy is felt in countries around the world, and a potential massive disruption in financial markets. The Treasury Department today issuing a report warning of catastrophic consequences in the event the debt ceiling is breached, and they're saying there could be a financial crisis and a recession that could rival or even be worse than the 2008 financial crisis. So markets looking beyond the government shutdown to the debt ceiling breach, which would happen about October 17th, according to current estimates, and they don't like what they see. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Steve Liesman.